With 2022 officially in the rearview mirror, look at it in there. Wait, it's not even a rearview mirror, what am I saying? I wanted to take a look back at the best movies to come out last year. I'll be breaking down my top 10 picks for the year, but most importantly, I want to hear from all of you guys. Be sure to let me know all of your thoughts after the video. One last thing, these were my favorite films of last year, and my list is going to look way different than yours, but I would love to discuss everything with all of you down below. First, these honorable mentions. I'm kidding, not that last one. Alright, let's get into it. Oh, also, if you could like the video really quick. Okay, cool, let's run it. At number 10. Sorry, that was my announcer voice. I'll just do this instead. Often playing out much more as a live stage play than a film, the outfit is masterful at what it is trying to do. Graham Moore, who wrote The Imitation Game, gets his first crack at directing and creates a gripping thriller filled with twists and turns that keep you enthralled throughout this single-setting nail-biter. The entirety of the film takes place inside of not a tailor, but a cutter suit shop. The shop doubles as a place where Chicago gang members utilize its space and are able to exchange goods and other things that criminals do. Mark Rylance acts circles around the cast. Not that anyone else was bad by any means, but wow, Mark Rylance delivers a truly phenomenal performance in this role. A man who wants nothing to do with gang activity occurring in the back of his shop, as his true passion is being the masterful suit designer that he is. The scenes of tension are executed beautifully, as I literally was on the edge of my seat throughout the entire runtime of this thing. There's also a weird comfort to the single location, as different characters constantly revolve in and out of the shop that I really enjoyed. Another element I found really great was the fact that all the characters, even the gangsters, had many layers to their characters. Especially Dylan O'Brien's character, who expresses the tough gangster persona on the outside, while deep down being self-conscious regarding making his father, the leader of the gang, proud of him. The film has lots to say about lineage, legacy, passion, and features an interesting commentary on individuals who already have their future set in place, due to the family they were born into. The film is so wonderfully directed that even the scenes of Rylance cutting new jacket designs as he narrates the subtle beauty in each detail, even that is captivating. The story had some turns that genuinely shocked me and kept me guessing throughout. The score is often stripped back completely, with the emphasis primarily on the dialogue and intensity that can come from just the words these characters are exchanging. This low-budget thriller goes to show that wonderful writing and great characters are the heart and soul of storytelling. Is it weird to say I related to this movie? No, I don't know how to cook, nor am I rich enough to go to this private island, nor do I murder people. But the theme of passion turning into obsession rang very close to home for me. This dark, satirical comedy is one that has so much to say regarding how art is put on this pedestal, and the way we dissect and obsess over it in different ways can end up being really detrimental. Like, even me reviewing and dissecting this movie is the exact thing it's telling me not to do. How pretentious. The scenes of Tyler breaking down every ingredient, how it was cooked, and how to eat it properly. Or the moment where Margot goes to eat her food, but can't because he needs to take a picture of the food first. Every single time. The actor whose facade is that he has true admiration and knowledge of food, but of course it's artificial. The critic that wields too much power. The ultra-rich couple that has eaten at this place 11 times, but can't remember a single dish. They don't have any passion for this type of thing, but just feel as if they should be eating here, because they believe they are superior, and society tells them this is superior cuisine. Of course, we see all of this go down through the far more relatable character of Margot, who would much rather eat a deep, metaphorical cheeseburger than any of these strange, breadless dishes. The movie uses food to demonstrate this idea beautifully, but can be extrapolated to art as a whole. Beyond the oddly relatable theme, the movie also doubles as a suspenseful, dark thriller that had me on the edge of my seat, gasping at some of the twists and turns it takes. The dark comedy is wonderfully constructed, like a dish of rocks and leaves. Or EEAAO, as the cool kids are calling it. Nobody calls it that, what am I saying? Yes, I know, most people seem to have this in at least their top 3, if not their number 1 of the year. It didn't quite personally click with me on that level, but I loved the movie nonetheless. Certainly the best multiverse film of the year. A bizarre, hilarious, and heartfelt adventure through the multiverse featuring great performances from Michelle Yeoh and Jamie Lee Curtis. However, the standout is most definitely Ke Huy Quan, as he steals every scene he's in. Sorry if I butchered the name, my bad. He brings humor, great action, and is often the emotional heartbeat of the movie as he goes to extreme measures to protect his family. My favorite aspect of this movie is that underneath the hot dog fingers and chaotic elements is a simple story of reconnecting with your family, reestablishing those special bonds, When times seem difficult and connections seem to weaken amongst the family, a formidable, multi-dimensional threat is what brings them back together, and the family realizes how much they love and need each other. The hidden emotional pull underneath this visually wacky and bizarre story is what makes this film so special. A24 knocks it out of the park again, and I hope other studios take note from studios like A24 and Annapurna Pictures on allowing filmmakers to create original films like this one. This movie just feels like cinema. A bleakly humorous, but beautiful, rustic, and vintage ode to Ireland with so much to say. Who said great comedies don't exist anymore? Oh yeah, that was me in my last video. But underneath all that dark comedy lies the tragedy of a dissolving friendship, the loss of oneself, and a desolate commentary on legacy and how dangerous it can be. The amount of shots in this movie that feature characters looking in through windows at what is inside really capture another overarching theme of the plot, how it feels to be an outsider. Even on the beautifully photographed island that our characters spew their clever dialogue is isolated. It's miles away that the residents can see the Irish Civil War taking place, which the film will often have lingering shots of this conflict. The Civil War of 1923 perfectly represents the dispute between our two main characters, in which the war often featured friends fighting friends, among other thematic connections as well. The wonderful ode to Irish folklore with Mrs. McCormick's character being the representation of a banshee, or maybe just a nosy neighbor. The film, although hilarious, often appears as much more of a horror film in a way it is shot, mixed with bleak color grading, make for a truly unique cinematic experience. Also, Colin Farrell should be the frontrunner for Best Actor because he's outstanding here. I know a lot of people believe Brendan Fraser should be the frontrunner for Best Actor, but if Andy Serkis can't get a nomination for playing an ape, I don't see how Fraser can get one for playing a whale. Colin Farrell is both hilarious and heartbreaking in his performance. The consistent running gag with Farrell's character pondering if he is a dull person, contrasted with the immense emotional pull of some other scenes that I won't spoil for you if you've yet to see the film, are truly impressive.
Barry Keoghan
also delivers a phenomenal performance. Thanks, talk show host guy, I wasn't sure how to pronounce his name. That rejection scene between him and Kerry Condon's character is gut-wrenching. Barry is awkward and comical, yet clearly sad in his core. All of his emotions come to the forefront in this scene, and it really is something to watch. Funny enough, the Penguin and the Joker's chemistry is off the charts here in this film. There's something so bleak, yet strangely warming in this movie in a weird way. It has this mythical vibe to it.
You do like me?
I don't.
This film stuck with me for a while, and made me think deeply about the things it was trying to say, especially the legacy discourse. And at what point is it truly better to leave a legacy, depending on the contrived notion you may have for what that is. This film hits like a bread van. Triangle of Sadness, a dark comedy, wild satire, and overall chaotic ride of a film. However, beneath the not-so-hidden messaging and bizarre events that take place is a brilliant film that has so much to say. My favorite part? Nothing in the film is by accident. Every little detail from the shot selection to the irritating flies buzzing around throughout is all very meticulous and masterfully done. When I sat down to watch this movie, I had no idea what it was about. Like at all. I didn't watch the trailer for it, didn't read the back of the DVD. No one does that anymore, what am I saying? This beautifully directed, wonderfully acted, wild ride of a film is one that really sparks conversation. It paves the way for more analytical thought to be had in terms of class and social issues that we face today. The movie boldly critiques social class while poking fun at the rich elites. However, my favorite aspect of the film is the fact that it shows flaws in everyone. While it overwhelmingly focuses on the rich, it also shows the flaws in Abigail, who represents the lower class. Her growing hunger for power when the opportunity presented itself is a commentary on human behavior as a whole. The themes are blatant and in your face, and the hierarchy of power is most visible when all of society's artificial elements are gone away in a raw environment of survival, which the third act beautifully demonstrates. This movie stuck with me for a while after I watched it, and just had me thinking about human behavior, the craving for power, and the ability to overlook basic necessity in a search for validation from artificial elements. The worst part? These artificial elements are only valuable because of modern societal norms. They manipulate us. I love when films make me think about the world, and this film certainly does that. I found it super refreshing in an odd way to have a movie that has these messages so on the nose and in your face. Nothing subtle or subliminal here. It's simple, but it works. I don't think anyone expected a sequel 30 years after the original Top Gun to be anywhere near as great as this film is. I know I certainly didn't expect it. I actually hadn't even seen the original Top Gun until after I watched this movie, but that's between us. But yet, I fell in love with this film watching it in the theater. It really encapsulates what going to the movies is all about. Laughs, emotion, heart, wild action, and stunning visuals. The aerial photography and in-camera stunt work are riveting in this movie. The choice to shoot practically and have the actors physically in these jets while performing aerial stunts paid huge dividends in the film. The stakes felt real and justified, because, well, they're real. And Tom Cruise flying his own F-18 is just cinema magic. The sound design during these aerial action set pieces is phenomenal, and the adrenaline-fueled action had me on the edge of my seat. Also, there's just something about movies when the action is going down, somewhere near the third act, and the scene cuts back to the cranky general that didn't think the mission would work, and he's in awe of what's happening. It just makes me emotional. I know, I'm a loser. It's cliche, but it works. I mean, the majority of the film is cliched in many ways. It rehashes almost every classic movie trope, but does it perfectly, that it's not a complaint at all. Everything this movie does, it does extremely well. I love the chemistry between Tom Cruise and Jennifer Connelly, as I completely bought their dynamic on screen. Cruise's acting is also super underrated, as there's many scenes where he's displaying so many emotions and messages with just a look on his face. I mean, the scene in which he's watching Rooster through the glass, singing in the bar, expressing so many mixed thoughts and emotions. Which, on that note, Rooster and the rest of the young pilots were great additions, as they each had their moment to shine, and their camaraderie added so much fun to this plot. The film is hilarious at times, it's touching, and is just wildly entertaining. Definitely one of the most entertaining films I've ever seen. And to carry on the theme of simple stories disguised in larger-than-life blockbuster chaos, the story underneath these intense dogfights and heart-pumping aerial training is a simple one. It follows a hero that's kind of over the hill. There's new tech, new planes, new ideologies, and maybe the hero isn't needed anymore. But as the story progresses, not only does the Top Gun Academy and US military still need our hero and learn from him, our hero unknowingly needs these new elements as well. This youthful injection, among other challenges that face our hero, helps him find meaning in himself. Also, this moment. This movie is truly something special. I hadn't been this excited for a film to come out since 2008's The Dark Knight. Sure, I'm a huge nerd who loves Batman, but also because both Nolan and Reeves are auteurs of cinema, and it was reported that Reeves had complete creative freedom to make the Batman film he wanted to make. So I knew we had a chance at getting something really special with the Batman, and we definitely did. This film is dripping in atmosphere as it oozes mood throughout the best looking Gotham we've ever seen. Why did I have to say it weird like that? This dark, gritty, and grounded take on this detective story is everything I've ever wanted in a Batman flick. This movie was almost custom tailored to my tastes. It's David Fincher-esque in almost every way. It's basically Seven starring Batman, and it couldn't be more up my alley. Not that alley, guys. Too soon. I love these dark, moody blockbusters that aren't afraid to take risks and bring new elements to the table, especially within a comic book genre in which we get an abundance of similar feeling films year after year. I love all the cast and their roles here, other than maybe Dano, who I'm not 100% sold on his take on the Riddler yet. I loved Pattinson as Batman. I thought he was menacing and demanded your attention in every scene, even when being silent. He also had a great character arc by the end of the film, with the realization that he must become more than an element of fear within the shadows, and rather become a symbol of hope for Gotham. Speaking of Gotham, the city is alive within this movie. It's its own character here. Greg Fraser's cinematography is extraordinary, as every shot is beautiful, and it's the best it's ever looked. Giacchino's score is thunderous and riveting throughout, especially within the Batmobile chase sequence, which is just phenomenal, by the way. Reeves directed that action sequence in such a unique and adrenaline-filled fashion. The film is so bleak and stylized, and I just love living in this world. However, the film definitely stumbles a bit in the third act for me, where it goes from this unique, slow-burn detective story to a slightly more generic action sequence, which didn't fit the rest of the movie in my opinion. The whole stadium flood scene features horrible cliches and off-putting CGI at times, but the film quickly returns to form when Batman ignites the flare, rescues the survivors, and the movie culminates beautifully with the layered motorcycle send-off. Overall, I love this detective noir story, with my favorite scene probably being the investigation of the mayor's murder on Halloween night. It just captures everything I could have ever wanted in a Batman movie. Again, I love these dark, slower burn blockbusters, like Blade Runner 2049 and Dune, and this fits into that category. I still can't believe this movie exists. Well, I'm sure this won't get any hate. While The Way of Water doesn't feature cerebral themes that challenge a viewer or really make you think deeply regarding the current climate of society, it just makes me feel like a kid at the movies again. I know everyone is probably going to disagree with me on this pick, but I can't help it. I absolutely love this film. Maybe it was the magical experience I had watching this movie with my family, who I only get to see about once a year, as we were all transported to Pandora together. Or maybe it was the experience I had in a theater that felt so reviving after the last couple years of limited cinema experiences and big releases. Or maybe it's actually a pretty good film. Avatar: The Way of Water is one of the most unique and magical experiences you can have in a movie theater. And in the current climate of everything directly onto streaming for our at-home viewing pleasure, this film shows us the pure magic of going to the cinema. Pandora looks beyond amazing. It's filled with beautiful detail, dazzling visuals, and wonderfully creative designs for almost everything within it. The best part? Pandora is a living, breathing character in the film, and the connection the Na'vi have to their planet is a special aspect of this franchise. James Cameron proved all the doubters wrong with this film. I mean, unless you look on Twitter, then you would think this is the worst film ever made. Yes, even worse than this. Everyone who said this franchise is horrible, it's too late for a sequel, or thought this would bomb at the box office, were once again proven wrong by one of the greatest filmmakers and innovators in cinema history. When I first watched The Way of Water, I was blown away by the stunning effects work, whether it be the unbelievable CGI or the beautiful performance capture work. I was blown away by the aesthetic of Pandora and just how gorgeous it all looked. The underwater scenes felt so magical. I felt as if I was a kid again in the theater exploring this new world. When I first watched the film, I couldn't get over the cinematography, beautiful shot selection, and jaw-dropping backgrounds everywhere you look around in Pandora. However, while all of that remains true, after watching this film a second time, I fell in love with the emotional side of the movie. I fell in love with the Sully family, and the Reef people, and the beautiful cultural representation present in this awe-inspiring world. I realized the simple, yet beautiful story about family is more touching than I had originally thought. What it means to be a family and how far one will go to protect it is a beautiful theme present throughout. The inclusion of the storylines regarding being an outcast and struggling to be accepted by new people, or even your own family, was really touching. The commentary on our oceans and how humans mistreat it is polarizing to watch. The scene in which they hunt down the whale thing is devastating, but is also filled with so much nuance if you're willing to look for it. The commentary on science and monetary gain when it comes at the cost of wildlife is fascinating and a bit saddening to say the least. I just love this world, and Cameron has a way of making you feel like you are there with the Na'vi as opposed to just watching entertainment. This is what the magic of the movies is about. And could we talk about how special that moment in the climax of the film is, with Kitty helping her mom through the horrifying moment as the Sully family is running out of time in their perilous situation? Running out of oxygen, telling her to breathe as it syncs up with Jake being helped by his son, also helping him with breathing techniques he has learned from the Reef people. Just breathe. It's a beautiful moment that's capped off with the inspiring speech of water bringing dark to light as the glowing fish guide the path to survival for the family. I know people love to hate this franchise, but Avatar: The Way of Water is a magical experience. It transported me to another place like no other movie did this year. If Whiplash and Black Swan had a baby, you'd get Tar, the kid that makes both its parents so proud and maybe even surpasses their achievements. This cold, bleak, and uneasy representation of fame-fueled power is riveting and impactful. And let's just get it over the way. You may as well give Cate Blanchett her Oscar now. Her performance is the best I've seen this year, hands down. Her portrayal of the obsessive, boundary-crossing composer Lydia Tarr is a tour de force. Does that make me a real film pundit if I use that phrase? That ongoing lecture scene with no camera cuts is truly impressive, as the film pulls you in and never lets you out of its desolate grip. You can't take your eyes off of her performance this entire 2.5-hour movie. Which, speaking of, before I watched the film, I was like, why it gotta be so long? But then I sat through the 30-minute intro credits and I was like, oh, that's why. Jokes aside though, the length was earned, as Fields takes you through multiple genres of in-depth character study, to comedy, to genuine scenes of horror. The film takes us behind the curtain of a public figure who gets on the wrong side of media cancellation. Wait, there's not a good side of media cancellation. What am I saying? I loved the cinematography and aesthetic of Tar, as it captures the atmosphere so perfectly. The film presents its themes of entitlement, trajectory, scandals, and power, among many more, in a fashion that is darkly visceral. You can't take your eyes off of the screen as Lydia Tarr descends further and further into madness. Who would have thought a film about classical music and modern politics would be so intense and gripping? I had to remind myself to breathe at some parts. Also, considering they both teach music lectures, imagine having Lydia Tarr and Terrence Fletcher as your university profs. Like, you get out of your morning class with Tarr screaming at you, just have a chair hurled at you in your afternoon lecture. Man, me and my violin would be spending a lot of nights at the campus pub. It took me a little while to get into the film, but once you do, it's extremely gripping. Its moody atmosphere and dark themes will lock you in. This movie was astonishing. Roll out the carpet because I foresee a clean sweep this award season. This film floored me. Jared Leto delivers the performance of a lifetime here. Okay, I'm sorry. I just did the same joke twice. It's still not funny. I just wasted everyone's time. I'm sorry. Growing up, all I did was make movies. It started by making stop-motion masterpieces with my action figures. And I even did similar stunts as Sam does in this movie with a train set I had as a kid. Much like Sam, my passion for making movies evolved and improved as I got older, using so many of the neat little filmmaking tricks they demonstrate in this film. And I totally related to the little moments when others around him just don't quite get it like he does. They don't understand quite what he's going for or why he's so passionate about it. Side note, one time I actually called the cops for real, because hey, that's what the script called for my character to do. And they showed up and had to do a full sweep in my parents' house. Sorry, Mom. But much like in the film, as I got older, it definitely is a passion that has unfortunately turned into something I never do anymore. Also like Sammy, I had a few of my movies play in front of the entire high school in my hometown. And for all those reasons, this film had an unfair advantage. I related to it on such a deep personal level. Like I'm sure many of you did if you were also passionate about creating art in some way or another. I connected emotionally to all of the characters and just had this relentless, joyous feeling throughout the movie. It's so cinematic and checks off every single emotion in the book throughout this wonderful coming-of-age story, which of course is based on the life of Steven Spielberg. The scenes where the other characters, including Sam's parents, always view his filmmaking as a hobby, and the struggle that comes with that is extremely relatable. The challenge of growing up and getting hit with reality. Like Sam mentions in the film, his fear of getting older, not being able to make it happen, not being able to amount to what he wants to in life. The themes of art and passion having the ability to tear you and your loved ones apart. The jokes regarding the cutthroat industry that Hollywood is. I loved all of it. And at its core, The Fabelmans is an extremely emotional family story, as it takes you through all of the hardships, heartbreak, and love of a family constantly on the move. I literally am Sammy in this movie, except for the fact my mom wasn't having an affair with my... Wait, maybe I should ask her what Todd was doing coming over for dinner all those nights. I had such a deep connection to this movie. I love every single moment of it. Steven Spielberg is the GOAT. The Fabelmans is my favorite movie of 2022. Alright, what do you all make of my list? How many of you already unsubscribed because Everything Everywhere All at Once wasn't number 1? What films should have been on the list? What films were too high? I'm sure all of you will say Avatar. What films were too low? What is your favorite movie of the year? In fact, give me your whole list. I would love to read and respond to all your thoughts down below. I'd love to discuss any movies that came out this year, or any year for that matter. My resolution for 2023 is definitely to check out way more foreign films, and I already have a list of them ready to go. If you guys have any recommendations, drop them below too. Guys, if you could hit that like button, it would mean the world, and if you enjoyed the video, even up until I said Avatar was my number 3 of the year, maybe you can consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll catch you all for the next video. Peace.